Fan. Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5, fueled by Super America.
We have received a number of compelling emails pushing back a little bit on our discussion with Randy Kay, even some concern about stereotyping going on. We will not ignore the subject. We'll get back to it a little bit later. We have time because it's a Talker Tuesday on a Monday the rest of the way. So those emails will be filed away very carefully and considered and even perhaps discussed a little bit later in this broadcast. So don't go away if the subject itself interests you or perhaps even to a certain degree rankles you the way it has been set up. Top 5 at 5 now, though, and there's plenty to get to. There's some very meaty, newsy stuff to discuss across the Twin Cities sports world.
The stories a stadium could tell.
We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings. As I paused yesterday during the Cake Show, how many different scandals, how many different bizarre situations has this organization found itself in? And here can be the latest one, right? The kombucha defense. Wherever you are 40 years from now, you're going to remember the kombucha defense, are you not?
As pretty much confirmed by our last guest, Randy Kay.
That's what you wonder if Michael Floyd's attorney, and I don't know who that is. I know that person's name has been thrown around a little while. You wonder if that person, Floyd's attorney, if they got a text that said, hold on, go back into the courtroom, tell the judge to podcast the 4:30 segment of Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barreiro when Randy Kay confirmed she likes kombucha tea, but will not drink kombucha tea during the day because of the alcohol content, and, quote, it can give me a buzz.
The accompanying buzz is what she referred to.
May have gotten the whole thing thrown out. As it is, kind of seems like it was a little bit in Scottsdale earlier today, the Michael Floyd hearing for the possible violation of the house arrest that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. The judge in Scottsdale did find Michael Floyd violated his house arrest by testing positive for alcohol and ordered that the wide receiver serve one more day in jail before finishing his final 5 days of home confinement. So he could have served the rest of his home confinement in prison, but he won't. The judge apparently has some latitude on there. 1 day in prison, 5 days of house arrest. The Michael Floyd saga continues.
It sounds to me like the judge bought the defense. One that apparently was strongly pushed by the Minnesota Vikings organization as a team. Apparently we got kombucha everywhere there. You can't walk more than like 20 feet without kombucha. They got kombucha drinking fountains, I guess, at Winter Park. I had this tweet exchange with Brian Murphy, who kind of broke this story, some of the details of it over the weekend. And he had a tweet that read, updated Floyd story with judge sentencing him to 1 day in jail, finish 5 days of home confinement in Arizona. And I asked him, wasn't there originally potential for much more serious repercussions for violating terms? To which he responded, prosecutors wanted jail for the rest of the sentence after he served 24 of 120 days. Hired expert, Vikes pushed T defense, judge has discretion. And judges usually do have that discretion, I get that. But It certainly sounds as if it could have been a lot tougher, and I don't know if the judge is ever got specific about how she, and in this case I think it is a she, went down this particular road and made this call, but it comes off as much lighter than it might have been, even though he tested positive and he's coming off a severe DUI situation. So I got to believe the judge, in part at least, must have bought a defense and even maybe felt bad for him because the Vikings may have been, if you want to believe their story, co-conspirators in sending the wrong message to a guy who had that on his record and who needed to be sure he didn't get anywhere near alcohol or anything that had alcohol in it. It's mind-boggling to me, and actually.
There also is a difference between kombucha in the facility and kombucha out on the street, so to speak.
Apparently, yes.
Right? Because it can all be different depending on how it's made, and that needed to be made clear as well.
The same could be different. We don't know, and that gets to the same point. is that it's apparently there's such a wide disparity. That's why you're not supposed to be drinking it at all, even if it is going to have some health benefits. And clearly the Vikings think it has health benefits because they got it everywhere at Winter Park.
Randy Kay said she liked how it makes her feel as well, although it may have been she may have been talking about the buzz.
I'm sorry. I hate to be the Danny Downer, but it still strains credulity to me that you'd be drinking this much in just the perfect amount of time to get this positive of a test. It just still sounds rather shaky, but it certainly appears as if the Vikings are all in on Michael Floyd at this point. Don't you think?
When you have...
Which means it's on them.
Ziggy Wilf is the owner. Mark Wilf is the president. Yeah. There's another series of Wilfs in there.
Correct.
You don't have to go very far down to get where Kevin Warren is on the totem pole, right? I mean, that's a big shot that went to bat for him. As he's the COO.
Yeah.
He's huge. You don't get much bigger in the organization than Kevin Warren, so they threw the weight behind him for sure.
They threw the weight behind him, but like I said, in doing so, I think they opened themselves up to significant criticism on not doing their own due diligence about, if you want to buy it, the theory, the position to a certain degree that left him in part because of what they had, I don't want to say enabled, but they had certainly encouraged.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here.
Bizarre. And all of this for a guy who's probably just going to be an okay wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, if he leads us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, then everything's different.
Then it's the kombucha Super Bowl. We'll all be drinking kombucha down, hopefully done by then, Nicollet Mall.
How many different kombucha colors are? I think Randy said she goes for the green kombucha.
Sounds right. Sounds about right.
I don't know. We have it at home.
Do you really?
Yeah, we have it. I have a hard time even smelling it.
I think you should do a Facebook Live tonight, drinking some kombucha.
Might be a good experiment.
Watching the greatest pitchers duel of the season coming up tonight at Fenway.
How can I? In fact, can we leave early?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Well, it was a really fun series. I was confident that we would play well, but you're never sure how games can turn along the way. It was just one of those things. We came in here, and I think all the games were tough. I don't think you ever feel comfortable knowing how they can swing the bats and what we witnessed last weekend. But, to win 3 games, you got to feel good about it.
Yeah, that's Paul Molitor. You should feel good about it. Copyright Joe Mauer. You should feel good about it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
He's talking about his team going into Cleveland and really...
We've been working from home for months. We've nailed the sourdough, started meditating, even splurged on a standing desk. But somehow we haven't perfected the actual work part of it. We communicate and share files from different places and platforms. It's a mess. So let's get it together, literally. Clip by RingCentral is a new type of platform with unlimited video meetings and team messaging, all in one place. Glip by RingCentral. Meet smarter. Sign up for free at glip.com.
Nordo here for my boys at Utapils Brewing, and they are open right now. Head to their Minneapolis tap room and beer garden today for a safe, socially distanced drinking experience. And if you can't make it in, don't worry. Utapils has products available across the state. Don't see it? Ask for it by name. Utapils.
Nobody expected this. Maybe they did. I don't know. Lavo said he should have seen it coming reading the game story because the team was focused and loose. Whatever the hell that means, Lavo. Come on. I know you're listening. But the Twins won again yesterday, 4-0. Blanking the Indians. They're now 39-34, which puts them back in first place. Irvin Santana, not elite, but got the job done, at least getting through 6 innings and handing it off to the bullpen. You even heard Dick Bremer on the broadcast with LaTroy Hawkins talking about, okay, now where do you get the rest of these outs from? You're going to need a series of outs here. I think at that point Santana wasn't sure if he was going to get through the 5th, and they're like, okay, well, where do we go? Yeah. And luckily he battled, got them through 6, and they were able to piece it together to earn the sweep.
Well, I was in and out of a couple of games of the weekend, and the parts I saw the Cleveland Indians hit a lot of balls hard at some people, so I have a little bit of a hunch that they didn't get the breaks in this series. I don't know, just my humble instincts tell me that. I mean, they outplayed us. I mean, we outplayed them, but I'm not sure we got the breaks this weekend. Can I go with that?
If you're talking about Cleveland.
Molly did last week. That's what he went with when we got swept by 4, and maybe he's right. But I would say then Cleveland didn't get the breaks, but we got the victories, and that still's the most important thing. And so we're back in first place, and we got our hottest pitcher going tonight.
It's going to be fun.
Keep the thing going.
At Fenway, great cathedral. Jose Barrios versus Chris Sale.
I will say this: we had another series of outstanding outfield plays.
That's a great
point. The defense
point.
continues to be
Rosario.
He's
kind of cocky out there.
Maybe it's calculable because now we got analytics, but eye test looks you can't even calculate how many runs that have been saved, but it's a bunch. And you're right; all of them have looked good at various times. Obviously, starting with the center fielder.
So it's Boston tonight, like I mentioned, 4 games with them before heading to Kansas City. Other news today, Phil Hughes expected to join the club at some point this week as a reliever, Phil Miller reports.
We're so deep in the rotation, there's no room for him.
Not a lot of room for him anymore. Yeah, you're right. Not a lot of room for him. In our final part of the top 5 at 5 here, because we can certainly continue it, we know that we're going to talk a lot of Wolves the rest of the show as well with the number of Ricky Rubio rumors that are out there right now. But Charlie Sheen is back in the news.
What'd he do?
He hasn't done anything yet, but he's trying to do something on Friday. He has revealed himself as the owner of 2 of the most coveted pieces of Babe Ruth memorabilia. Sheen told ESPN today that he consigned Babe Ruth's 1927 World Series ring and an original copy of the sale document that sent Babe from the Boston Red Sox to the New York Yankees. He sent it to the auction house. Is it Leland's.com?
Sounds good to me.
Charlie Sheen bought these in the 90s, said he displayed them in a bar area in his house that he named after the slugger, Babe Ruth. Doesn't remember what he paid for the Ruth items. They were sold to him by somebody else of Leland's, who's now selling them for Sheen, but he will certainly come away with a profit. The bidding on the ring has topped $600,000, which will make it the highest priced sports championship ring ever sold. The high bid on the sale document, which was the copy owned by Yankees owner Jacob Rupert, has surpassed $400,000.
Man.
So that's some good memorabilia right there.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Yeah, I can't argue with you about that. It's very solid.
If you can have both for $1 million.
Well, if you're Charlie Sheen, that's a drop. Is that still a drop in the bucket if you're Charlie Sheen?
I think he still gets so much from the 2 broke.
I think he's still doing well on residuals and stuff.
2.5 Men. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he was making like $1 million an episode.
All the
2.5 Men.
He could drink, I think. You're probably right.
That's true, and it sounds like he likes to drink it. We certainly know that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Your Minnesota Lynx got back at it last night. They were down to begin the 4th quarter against San Antonio Davy, but handled themselves. Waylon, I thought, was going to get teed up last night. I don't know if you caught any of that game. I thought she was going to get teed a little bit. If she's listening, be careful because she definitely got fouled. They didn't call it as they were trying to ice the game away a little bit. But anyway, so then she got mad at the ref as she is wont to do. But they're 11-1 now, your Minnesota Lynx.
Well, there's an interesting gamer today by our guy Kent Youngblood.
Mm-hmm.
Number of reasons he writes why the Lynx were able to rally from 9 down early in the 4th quarter to beat the Stars 87-78. And he mentions backup point guard Renee Montgomery digging down defensively and slowing the Stars guard Mariah Jefferson's role. Maya Moore, who scored 13 of her 22 points in the 4th quarter, mentions the whole emphasis of the story, Sylvia Fowles, basically taking care of business when it mattered as well. May I submit the possibility that the biggest reason that the Lynx came back was that the San Antonio Davy Stars are 0-14. Might have made it a little bit easier.
I missed that.
I'm just saying that might enhance your comeback opportunities. That's all. I'm just saying put it in the mix. If they're 0-14, that might make it a little easier than coming back from a team that's 12-2. That's all. Just,
they did have a wide open layup that they missed in the final minute or two that I feel it could have tightened it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think we went down and hit a 3 or we scored right after that to extend the lead a little bit. So there's something to be said about executing in those moments, Dan. When you're 0-12, you're typically not executing.
You're typically not very good, I would say. I mean, I'm sure they haven't gotten the breaks, but still probably not that good.
You love that one.
I do. It's one of my favorites.
That's a perfect place to end it.
Well, we don't have a guest.
I'm just trying to keep our 5 o'clock hour good. I try to listen to the bosses.
Emails.
On when to break and when not to.
We got a bunch of interesting ones that have come in. booth@kfan.com. There's some how would I describe this? As news material that is atopic worthy outside the toy department, which we should discuss. And I do want to get back to the emails that came in reaction to our conversation with Randy Kay. Stay tuned.
It's Barreiro on the Fan.
Programming on the Fan this evening brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts.